to a woman that many of you know. You read about her in the paper. We talk about her on the air, and I've never had her in the studio here. She's been a state senator for a long time. Are you getting warmer, her on that is? That is Earline Rogers. Earline, thanks for coming in this morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Jim. It's good to be here.
And I've never had you in here. I think I've had
No,
everybody else but you, and so it's
absolutely.
good to have you in here.
Okay, thank you.
And just so everybody knows, I know we're getting close to elections. Actually, I think the 24th of March is the official start of it. But we're just going to talk about things that have on in the legislature and any of your questions at 219-845-1100. So are you glad the session's over?
I am glad, relieved, and some other adjectives I could think of.
Well, remember,
Yeah,
this is a good
right.
family show, and there's a
Right,
lot of
good, yeah.
kids going to school right now. So
Arlene,
let's keep it clean. We can just pick a topic, and I mean, there's probably four m major ones, but why don't we just start with maybe one of the ones that was later in the session, and that is the smoking ban.
Mhm.
There was concern that it was, I mean, just give
Right,
me
yeah,
something on it.
yeah.
I don't know where it went.
Well, the bill always, at least for the past few years, always passed in the House. And when it got to the Senate, we weren't even able to even get a hearing on it. But this session, it was different. I think one of the things that was different was the governor got behind it. I think once we were trying to get ready for the Super Bowl, we realized, as a state, how out of touch we were with the smoking ban, and so we tried to get something passed as it relates to that. But it's an interesting subject. I mean, you've got those persons who really just detest any kind of what they consider to be government intrusion into their private lives. That was mainly the reason for the persons being against it. Then there are others, in the southern part of Indiana, we grow tobacco. And so some of the southern Indiana legislators were fearful that it will impact negatively on their economy in southern Indiana. So you had persons of that ilk. And It was interesting. So when the bill came from the House, when it got to the Senate, there were additional exemptions made. When the bill came from the House, there was an exemption there for racinos and for riverboats. I think we learned from Illinois when they passed the smoking ban in Illinois that included their riverboats. Then we saw an increase in the persons coming over from Illinois to Indiana just based upon the fact that they could smoke when they got to Indiana. So we didn't want to negatively impact the riverboats and the racinos. So it was trying to keep a balance between, I guess, those persons who felt that it was an intrusion, and then those of us who felt as though that we needed to have smoke-free air in Indiana and secondhand smoke. So it was when they got to the Senate, they added nursing homes and mental institutions. They felt as though, that those were people that smoked for years, and to take the cigarettes away from them, would negatively impact what they felt to be their quality of life. Then we had an exemption for uh, charity gaming. Your bingo halls in some of the schools and things of that nature. And so,
Las Vegas nights,
right,
that
yeah,
kind of thing.
right. So it went on and on, but and then the biggest exemption and the biggest struggle was for bars. And because when the bill came from the House, bars were included as places where you couldn't smoke. But I think the arguments that the people who owned bars had was that we were allowing smoking to occur at uh, places where the
casinos and
casinos and
halls
right,
and so
absolutely,
forth.
and halls like that, and so they felt as though they were being inappropriately
So the bars and
taxed.
taverns is really the crux of the smoking ban.
Right, right, yeah, and so they were put back in, and so in terms of places where that would be exempted.
Were you okay with that?
Yes, I was okay with that.
Just to get something on the
Just to
books?
get something on the books. A lot of times you have to proceed incrementally in the legislature. And so this was a way of getting started, letting everybody know that there was, as far as the state is concerned, a ban on smoking. And there's a provision in the legislation that calls for any municipalities can have laws that are much more uh, um, uh,
They could come up with much more stringent smoking bans. Now,
absolutely,
they can still
absolutely.
do that under this.
They can still do that. They can, yeah,
Hobart wants to eliminate smoking in all
they
public
can do that.
places. They can do
They
that.
can do that, right, right, which is important. So
219-845-1100. Let's go to George on line one. George, you're on with Earline Rogers.
Yeah, Senator, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Okay, what I found most alarming about this smoking thing, and I guess some of the legislative things in general, was it seemed to me that once elected and once in session, that our so-called representatives were completely oblivious to what the people may have wanted, and you guys are just acting out on your own discretion here, as if it was your final judgment and stuff, and your whole representational function was just thrown out the window here. We're the boss. We're going to do what we want to do, and that's the sense I had. Can you comment on what is the give and take between your constituents when on pressing matters such as, because I found the whole smoking ban somewhat, given the size of the fish that we have to deal with, just small time. I mean, I'm sure it had some
Okay.
pertinence, but
Okay, you got a lot
Okay.
in there, George. Thanks a lot. All right,
Okay.
Senator?
Yeah. Well, since the advent of email, my constituents let me know on a daily basis when I'm in the legislature how they want me to vote on issues. I get 200 to 300 emails a day from constituents asking me to vote one way or another. And I also start before every session. I know what's going to be coming up as a big issue, and I do a survey. So I start out with a survey, knowing which way, my citizens, my wish me to go, and then following that, I am in daily contact with their wishes. So I do think that, and I can speak for most of the legislators there, we do pay attention to what our constituents want. So input is extremely important, and I ask for it on a daily basis.